through. And let's see if I can just do this from right. Okay, I'll do it from right here. Here we go. Action.
My personal character is bound with a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, we're set to play a part. This role was made for us. Us alone. She wanted me to have it. She saved my life. For a time, God, she tried. Like trying to sweep the darkness out of her room with a broom. I admired her for efforts. But despite it all, there I always was.
Good. Now, you're going to go a second time. That was a pretty good rendering of that. I don't think you're going to, sometimes I'm just going to say, that was a pretty good rendering of that approach to it. Let's just try to throw a curveball. I want you to go weapons grade anger and say it twice as fast. And just now, I'm going to reimagine everything I'm saying. I can have the same objective, but my obstacle is anger. Don't overthink it. Just think about, just pinch yourself. What pisses you off? Bang, grab it, even if that note pisses you off. Doesn't matter, whatever's handy. Hit yourself over the head with it and go. Here we go. Action.
My personal character is bound to a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, we're set to play a role. This role was made for us, all of us. She tried to save me. She tried. For a time, she tried to sweep the darkness out of the room with a broom! I admired her efforts, but despite it all, here, I always was.
Good, not bad. Good. And let's hold our applause till the end. So Max, you're going to switch out, and Bianca, you can switch out, and Max, switch over to the eye line. Whoever's going next, jump in. Interesting. I liked your first one, Max. Be a little bit cautious of going into any kind of huffing and puffing. When I threw that curveball at you, there was a little bit of some actor default bag of tricks stuff crept in. And that's almost the last thing I want to see is your bag of tricks creep in. I want to see, when you get thrown a curveball like that, I'm hoping to see something that's surprising. And I did see a little bit, by the way. You'll have interesting choices in both.
I say those for my private chambers.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to bring those.
That's all right. Here we go. And action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, from the day we were born, were set to play a role. This role was made for us and only us. She wanted me to have it. She saved me for a time. God, she tried. Like trying to sweep the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired her efforts, but despite it all, there I always was.
Good. Did you have a plan B going in, or was that plan A? That was kind of a safe, down the road, just sort of like nice, lobbing it right over the middle. I would say you're probably going to end up with a ton of footage like that. So just you kind of have that. I think you've got it that
I
way if
actually
you want it
don't
that
have
way.
like footage like that.
don't have
I play
footage like that?
I
Most
play
of
the
it's too
bitch a
much?
lot.
Oh, so most of it's the pitch. All right, then
yeah.
I would do this. I would do, then, okay, so then I would stay down that road. Maybe try, and I wasn't totally looking, because when I'm doing the boom, I don't really like to look, because then you're almost in the scene. But I would say just double down on what you did before then. Just take a risk going over the top with the direction you were just headed in.
Okay.
All right, here we go. And action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, from the day we were born, were set to play a role. And this role was made for us, and only us. She wanted me to have it. She saved me for a time. God, she tried. Like trying to sweep the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired her for her efforts, but despite it all, there I always was.
I'm gonna let you go just one last time, because I think if I think my note might have messed you up, I'll let you go one last time. That was a little bit like call 1-900 Links, and because there was a little too, you were just doing too much vocal technique, and you were kind of going, let me put all that enticement or likability or whatever I want to put into the voice. Now I just want you to think about it more story-wise, more objective-wise. Just look at Max and draw out of him what you want. Throw the lines away. You still have the lines, you still know the lines. Throw the way you're saying the lines away, and just really get second circle with Max and try to draw out of him what you want from him. What do you want to see his face do? Don't just say, there's my eye line. Say, I want you to be affected by this. I'm the cause. I want you to be affected by this. Here we go. Action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, from the day we're born, are set to play a role. And this role was made for us, and only us. She wanted me to have it. She saved me for a time. God, she tried, like trying to sweep the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired her for her efforts, but despite it all, there I always was.
Good. Switch it out. Good. Keep going. Switch it out. Not bad. You might want to watch out. Some of that, you've done a little community theater or something. Some of that theater comes out sometimes. There's a little of that, like, I'm doing a technique that goes up and up and up and up, and I know I can't go up anymore, so now I go back down. Be careful of letting it go to technique. The camera sees technique, and it spits right in its eye. Everyone's always like, why do we have so many British and Australian actors? And really, by the way, the biggest train wreck you could be is a British or Australian actor, unless you're one of those rare cats who sort of figures out, I can't just use technique. If you're Ray Fiennes, you have all that wonderful technique, and then you go, but let me act like I'm an American actor. And that's what makes them so powerful. It's the Hugh Jackmans of the world that can go, yeah, actually, you know what? I could do a Broadway show and fucking tap dance, and I'm fully fucking trained. But I can also do Wolverine, because I've watched a lot of American movies, and I'm not going to do any of that bullshit. But it's going to somehow pay off. Still, when I'm Wolverine, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay this weird little imperceptible dividend. So just be careful of vocal technique, guys. Remember, the key to this is going to be going very second circle with the person who's right in front of you and saying, what do I want from them? What's this emotion that's stopping me from getting it? Or how am I maybe even using this emotion to get what I want from them? Here we go. Action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, from the day we were born, were set to play a role. That role was made for us and us alone. She wanted me to have it. She saved me for a time. God, she tried. Like sweeping darkness in a room with a broom. I admire her effort, but in the end, this I always was.
Good. Now, you've got a pretty good rapport breaking there. And it's a nice sort of rapport break, a little sort of even. I'd love to see a spike in there, and I'd love to see kind of a vacuum in there too. So maybe think of a way you could kind of make it a little spiky, or one or two spikes, like an emotional spike or even just some behavioral spike. Throw yourself kind of a curveball and just see what happens. Surprise yourself. Another thing, this is just going to be my general note for everybody, and if you can't see, readjust yourself in the room. I would be watching this and cross-referencing these notes, because I'm giving you all notes when I give these people that are in the hot seat notes. I'm about to stop doing it, and I'm just about to leave you all on your own, because I pretty much said everything applies to every one of you guys. One of the baseline things, guys, for being in a movie, the audience is going to ask themselves this question, and it's one of the only questions they're smart enough to ask themselves. They will simply leave the theater going, I didn't believe that one guy. Why won't they believe him? Well, it's very complicated. The submodalities of their performance will be such that they didn't believe their emotional state was real. They felt like it was manipulative. But 9 times out of 10, if you ask an audience to articulate why they didn't believe someone, they'll just say, I didn't believe the way they said their lines. They didn't seem like, they won't even have the insight to say they didn't seem like they were talking to anyone. They'll just say, I didn't believe that guy. And they won't even take it much further than that. 9 times out of 10, that's when someone's a little first circle and the lines are a little bit tough. I gave you guys tough lines on purpose because I want to see you guys use communication, use your objectives, use your obstacles, use all these submodal type of psychological tactics to power through unnatural dialogue and make it seem very conversational. The best Shakespeare actors in the world can actually, I posted that thing with Ray Fiennes on the website. He seems like he's just saying those words and saying them in that way. It doesn't seem like, oh, I'm doing Shakespeare. It's a very tricky thing to do. This isn't Shakespeare. It's not that heightened. Just make them your own words and convincingly speak them to someone to try to get something that you want. And beyond that, if you can have a flat delivery, great. If you can have a rapport-breaking delivery that goes up and stops at the end, even better. And if you can make an emotional argument, you're in top 1% of actors who can stand there, hold a close-up, and do that. Bottom line, every one of you is doing pretty damn well. Bottom line, right now, every one of you is getting footage that's a lot stronger than go to Reels R Us and get the guy standing in front of a big screen TV going, Detective Sanchez, have you got the body? I want you to run this entire place for Prince. And you're like, why is Detective Sanchez wearing a hoodie? I don't get it. But that's okay. He's just the dirty, I guess. And every single one of those is way, way better than the way you guys are. Every one of you guys is way, way better than one of those. But what I'm saying is if you can make it spiky, interesting, vacuum creating, rapport breaking, emotionally dynamic, and make these words very, very much organically your own, you're cooking with kerosene. And I know the words are a little bit of a challenge. I did that on purpose. But there's plenty of NLP in there that's going to be seductive to casting, but they also are going to just basically use that real basic yardstick. They stick their finger in the air and go, which way is the wind blowing? Do I believe them or not? Second question, how do they look? How do they sound? Probably the first question, actually. Third question is just going to be, did they make a strong enough emotional argument? Because this is an emotional part. They're not going to ask many more questions than that of your reel. They're going to bring you in if they still have more questions beyond that point. Very nice if you can make an emotional argument on your reel. Maybe not even entirely necessary, but one thing that's entirely necessary is that you walk, talk, speak, stand, and say words convincingly to where you don't sound like you're an actor. Can't tell you how many reels you start out and it's just like, geez, Goober, I'm trying to build rapport and I say my lines in a Goober rapport buildy way. And you just go, that person's never going to get there. They're a goober. All right, here we go. And I'm not saying any of you guys did that level of goobery. I'm just looking for just no goober in it at all. Say the words like they're your own. Speak them. Have an idea of what you want. Here we go. And action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. See, all of us, from the day we were born, were set to play a role. That role was made for us and us alone. She wanted me to have it. She saved me. For a time. God, she tried. Like trying to sweep darkness in a room with a broom. I admire her for her effort. But in the end, this, I always was.
Good. Okay, switch it out. Who's next? That was better. That felt better. Okay. Fill in that background a little bit, guys. You guys are kind of leaning more towards the Ash. Go a little closer. You should be almost in front of that air conditioner, Ash. Just damn near. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to let this continue to roll. Here we go. And action.
My personal character is bound to a certain amount of irreversible rascality.
Quick note, just Bianca's.
That's my stomach.
That mine's been doing that too.
Crazy.
Now, here's the thing. The reason why you probably bobbled that line just has everything to do with just not collecting. So I'm going to let you go again. It has everything to do with just not collecting yourself. So guys, if you ever bobble a line right out of the gate like that, just because they called action doesn't mean you can't start yourself over, especially on the first line. Look, if you get a minute into a 2-minute monologue, which you'll never see in TV or movies, by the way, these days, a 2-minute monologue would be like, what year is this, 1956? You're going to have maybe these 30-second, 45-second speeches like this size is a long speech nowadays in a movie. And if for some reason you bobble that first line, I would just intuitively, just as your own, just sorting by yourself. Don't wait to be sorted by others. Don't make them call cut. Don't let them sort it out. Don't let everyone kind of be like, oh, he bobbled that line, but he's moving on. Because then what happens is you move on and you go, there was a mistake. Then you move on to your next mistake, and it can kind of be this downward spiral. But the way you stop that, just stop. Boom. Stop talking right there. Take a deep breath, reset. Everyone will know what you're doing, even if you have a scene partner, even if there's a dolly grip. Nobody has to call cut. Nobody needs a fucking meeting about it. Nobody needs to let the makeup people come in and lint roll you again. All that needs to happen is you just stop talking, run the line right back to the beginning with a new commitment to go on an upward spiral on this take instead of on that downward spiral, which tends to happen when you bobble a line. So just give yourself that break and just run it back. And also another thing to do, another way you can kind of supplicate yourself and be a little ass-kissy and annoying, don't do a thing where you go, okay, let me take that again. Okay, I don't know why I'm such a mush mouth today. No, save all that shit too. Just stop, reverse, take a deep breath, speak the words again. Everyone will be so happy you did it that way. Because, by the way, when they're laughing at you bobbling your line and you go, oh, I messed up. Nobody's excited there's an outtake. Nobody actually thought it was funny. They were being very polite, laughing at that. And deep down, they were thinking, we're going to get a meal penalty if we don't fucking wrap this setup in the next 5 minutes. Let's go. That's all anybody's thinking. Okay, here we go. And 3, 2, 1, action.
My personal character is bound to a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, were set to play a role. This role was made for us, and us alone. She wanted me to have it. She saved me. For a time, God, she tried. Like trying to sweep away the darkness from a room with a broom.
Okay, this speech seems to be more popular, possibly just because it was shorter. I thought it's interesting. Now, I want you to go into rapport breaking. You had almost gotten it flatline. If it had been flat, it would have been a little bit more interesting, but you were flat leaning towards the side of rapport building. There's a little bit of like wanting to kind of approval seek with it. He says right in the line at the first, he's a rascal. That he's a rapport breaker. So break that rapport. If you're going down, when you were doing your exercise last week, where you were kind of the boiler room type of motivational speaker guy, that was all rapport breaking. The whole movie Boiler Room, why are those guys so interesting? Because they don't come in and go, hey guys, let's sell a lot of stock today. They come in and go, I drive a Ferrari. What's up? You piece of shit. Boom. You know, and then you kind of go, whoa, these guys just broke rapport. Now, you might say, is that kind of a male thing to break rapport? Hell no, it's not a male thing to just break rapport. What do you think any femme fatale in a movie is ultimately doing? She's walking up and breaking rapport. She's being way too sexy for this to be a friendly interaction. You know, that's a form of breaking rapport too. If we're just in a normal, I'm the private detective and I've come over to your house to help you with a case and you're fucking in a nightgown, fucking smoking cigarettes and saying like, hi, come in. You're like, that's breaking rapport. The nice thing to do would be to like, hello, sir, would you like some Sara Lee? Let's be professional. You know, there's all kinds of ways people break rapport, and it's what we really watch movies to do, because guess what? The audience is sitting there going, I never get to do anything fun in real life. That's right, Joe Pesci. You stabbed that motherfucker in the neck with a fucking fountain pen. Fuck those guys. You need your organization to come up in Las Vegas. Then they walk out and go, all right, back to the cubicle. You know, that's your fantasy fulfillment for people that don't get to do crazy shit. So a little rapport breaking, especially like this, is going to help. So think of you in your next take. And I'm not picking on just you. This is for everybody. Really fuck with the program on this one. Make this guy go down in inflection necessarily. Make this guy have a gnarly emotional obstacle. What was the emotional obstacle you were playing?
Sadness.
Do you feel good about sadness, or is that one that's kind of elusive to you?
A little elusive, I guess.
What's one that you can nail? Since we're shooting real tonight.
Probably anger, I guess.
If you can nail anger, guys, for the record, for the rest of you that have to go, you may want to redraw your plans here. And a lot of people are going to get uptight and go, oh, why would you want to play emotions? If you're new, no, you do want to play emotions. It's a movie. It's not a play. You don't get to make it up as you go every night. You got coverage. You got to do it the same way every time. So, but that being said, when you do your first take, that's the time to reimagine your plan. If we decide, okay, the sadness thing isn't working, let's see if we can do it angry. Then we'll do a take of anger and go, let's lock in for that. Then after lunch, tomorrow, when you get to the wide shot, when we get to everybody else's coverage, you locked into that. You're pretty well locked in. Okay, so let's try it, anger. And one reason why I want to experiment with you guys is because I want your reels to fucking rock. I want you to expand and stretch and grow when we're just doing a normal exercise. But when we're shooting in 4K and we actually might use this on the reel, guys, that's when I want you to kind of just throw straight heat, just fastball down the middle. I can nail anger. I don't have it on my reel just yet, or I could use more of it, or I know I can get there. I can make that heavy duty. Well, let me do that for the reel. And then just carry forward and correct forward and say, I know sadness is on the horizon for me, though. Here we go. And action.
My personal character is bound to an irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, were set to play a role. She wanted me to have it. She saved me. For a time, God, she tried. It's like trying to sweep the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired her for her efforts. But despite it all, I was still there.
Good. Switch it out. Who's next? It's interesting how the sadness crept up on you a little bit when you gave yourself permission to not do it. Did we hit the mark? That's okay. That's about where it was. I will refocus right now. All right. There we go. Okay. Now don't put any big pressure on yourself. Don't put any big pressure on yourself. All right. Let's fill in that background, too. If there's somebody, you can get right behind Carlos. No, it's okay. Increase the size of this frame substantially because it's 4K, so I'm framing you in a very generous close-up, sort of just maybe, between the belly button and the nipple, as you would say. It's not a technical term, but it's an anatomy thing. That's about where you're framed, right? Sort of in the middle of the stomach. So it's not the closest of close-ups. You could punch in even closer. And the way most of you are doing your minimum movement, you would be able to punch in closer. One reason why I'm framing it a little wider is because in the off chance some of you guys are still using too many muscles in your face, this will be less egregious. But for those of you that are very, very still, you could punch this all the way into a choker, which is just from your eyebrows to your mouth, if you were so inclined. You could also make an edit in your speech by punching into a choker from your eyebrows to your mouth and then punching out into this shot. You could turn this shot into 2 shots to then generate a cut without doing a jump cut. Or you can just do a jump cut or it is off, doesn't matter. All right, here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole you call home on hell's half-acre. If I shine a light down there, blinded, you will recoil. But eventually, you will see me holding the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision without someone or something deciding upon it. To accept me is to see that other relationships no longer exist because the relationships they were built on no longer exist. Your love was conditional on those beliefs. Then, you might see I'm here now, if your eyes can adjust.
Okay, good. Now, I'm like that you chose this one because this one's actually the vastly superior NLP. This one will swish someone's brain into a pile of broken pieces where they just go, I just have to bring this person in. If you swish it right. It wasn't very swishy what you just did. So guys, we're working on 2 different levels when we do these reels. We're also creating a commercial as a marketer for us as an actor. So I want to work with you on that one. That interpretation was a little bit of a theatricality crept into it. And there is a theatricality in the language. But what you want to do, especially if you have this speech, is these are much, much deeper and more smuggled ideas. You're basically saying, just so you know, just bluntly, what this dialogue is saying for you is forget every actor you've seen so far. I'm erasing your mind of it. Now, this is me, with every this, it's very swishy. So you want to be basically saying, almost like a hypnotist, I'm coming at you. Now, don't everybody do it like this. You can also have whatever interpretation you want, whatever emotion you want, but there's a little part of this that's got to get a little more hypnotic, and you're kind of breaking the spell if you go into theatricality type stuff. So you're going to want to just flatten this one way out, rapport breaking even, those beliefs no longer exist. It's just kind of, I'm coming at you in a nice, slow way. Now, if you want to have a smoldering emotion underneath it, do it. But some of the stuff in this one is powerful enough that if you just kind of roll the lines out and you're not getting caught on anything and you're going down and you're rapport breaking, you're going to put someone into a very suggestible state. So I will also encourage you, though, you get to hide a little bit more of that kind of devilish technique that we're using here. You get to kind of hide that. And by the way, a lot of people will be like, how dare you try to hypnotize casting directors? How dare you? What, should I say how dare the radio commercial that tried to hypnotize them on their way to work this morning on the radio? How dare the commercial they watched during, how dare the CNN that was playing in the lobby try to hypnotize them? How dare, everything's hypnotic these days. Everyone's trying to hypnotize you. How dare your Facebook flicker rate as you were scanning through your news feed try to hypnotize you? But it did, and you sat there rolling through some stupid shit for 15 minutes until you said, I can't, what am I doing this for? Everything's trying to hypnotize you. If anything, you're just fitting right into the program. That's why it's so important, guys, to have a spike and to break rapport, because what you're actually doing is introducing a hypnotic suggestion, and then ideally at some point in this, you would go, now! And just out of nowhere, they would go, whoa! And then you would wake them up, and you would be unhypnotized. This. The other stuff, subconscious. Now! That's what I would do with it, but it's up to you. But I would hammer something as a spike at the end, some emotional spike, so that way you kind of snap people out of it, and then they come to you. But just out in basic terms, just nice, easy, roll with it. What emotion were you thinking of for the obstacle?
Anger.
I would go, you can totally go with anger, but don't feel too upset if you don't get that far with the anger. It's just this controlled, smoldering undercurrent of anger as he's rolling through. All right, here we go. Look at it, and above all else, guys, like the prime directive, really look like you're a real person saying these words to somebody. Here we go. And action.
You occupy a tiny slice of hell, a rat hole you call home, on hell's half acre. If I shine a light down there, blinded you'll recoil, but eventually you'll see me holding the light.
Real quick, just in case I messed you up, you're doing good. Just really talk to him, really smuggle it in. I'm just telling you this. Okay. It's a little heightened language, but this is the way I talk. I talk in heightened language. Here we go. Action.
You occupy a tiny slice of hell, a rat hole you call home on hell's half acre. If I shine a light down there, blinded you will recoil, but eventually you will see me holding the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There's no decision without someone or something decided upon. To accept me is to see that other relationships no longer exist, because the beliefs they were based on no longer exist. Your love was conditional on those beliefs. Then, you might see I'm here now if your eyes can adjust.
Great job. Great job. That was very swishy. Good. Let me make sure. Did anyone, let me do this. Does someone peek through? Tell me if that mic is in.
No.
Good. And that's what it's called in neurolinguistics. I say swishy because it's called a swish pattern. Those types of patterns just, it's like how a shell game works in cards. You go, which one's the card under? And or the, whatever it is, you put, the shell game where there's 3 shells? Guess which one it's under? No, it's not under any of them. It's in the palm of this guy's hand. And then whatever one you pick, he releases it from the palm of his hand under the one that he wants. The key to doing the 3-card Monty is the cards up their sleeve. It's not under any of those 3, And that's why if you're a hustler doing it and you want to make money, you don't finish the trick where you go, it's not under any of them. It was behind your ears, Links. So the point being that you want to smuggle these phrases in, and that was a pretty decent job of doing the smuggling, I thought. Good. I just want to make sure I still have my frame line and it hasn't drifted. Is that good?
The boom's out, yeah.
Boom's out? Okay, good. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. And action.
You see, my personal character has been bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, were set to play a role. A role that was made for us and us alone. He wanted me to have it. He saved me. For a time. God, he tried. Like trying to sweep the darkness out of a room with a broom. And I admired him for his efforts, but despite it all, there I always was.
Good, really quickly, Steve and Johnny. Nobody be shifting around out here. I hear things, people, just personal effects. It's way far too dead of a room to do that in. Only thing we should hear is the ticking of that clock. Get used to that. If you can't be reverent for long stretches while other people are acting, you're not allowed to do this. It's like showing up to Disneyland with your t-shirt tucked into your back pocket with a Mickey's Big Mouth in your hand. You're not getting in. You can do that at the fucking, State Fair in fucking Alabama. You can't go to Disneyland like that. Take your pick. Okay, so everyone, just nice, quiet. Here we go. And action. Really quick before you start, Johnny, I heard that little kind of actor kind of huff and puff thing at the beginning. Just simplify. Stay right where you're at with the emotion, but don't let any gimmicks through. Action.
You see, my personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, were set to play a role that was made for us and us alone. And he wanted me to have it. He saved me. For a time. God, he tried. Like trying to sweep the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired his efforts, but despite it all, there I always was.
Good choices between both those, Johnny. Very good. Created a lot of vacuums, very rapport breaking. A lot of the hidden meanings will be completely obscured by that, but you're literally saying, save me a time at the callbacks. You saved me for a time is a built-in command right there in the speech. Every word you're saying is basically an embedded command, but you've got to just sort of power through the way Johnny did, because then people go, what a great monologue. I feel like I've got a time for him, and that my subconscious that doesn't think about what I had for breakfast yesterday but damn well knows it is just feeling like I'm moving in that direction. It's beautiful. Okay, let's fix this angle here. And that's good, we got an eye line. It's getting a little sweaty in here with the air off, so anybody who, it's sort of last minute, but anybody who wants to dab, you can just use your t-shirt or whatever you happen to have. You're a little shiny. I want to change batteries. And action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality.
It's okay, take that one more time, just because you followed it. Totally doing fine. Let the energy come out, too. Just picture this for just a second. Ava, picture your eyes, just looking at Johnny's eyes. Picture 2 rays of light coming out of your eyes. And picture your heart. Picture a ray of light coming out of your heart, and your shoulders are back, and you're just hitting him with that. I'll probably take your hands out of your pockets. That's bringing you in like this. This is where you're hiding, with your shoulders tense, and your jaw tense, and your neck tense. This is where you're not hiding anymore. Here we go. And you look great on camera, by the way. The camera always loves freaking Ava. Seriously. The camera loves you. And you know what's weird? It still loves you even though you don't love yourself. That's rare. That means the camera really loves you. So when you love yourself, people are just gonna be like, damn, that's a fucking star. But if you don't love yourself, people are gonna go, she's cute, she's pretty. And, you know, I have to love the shit out of myself for people to go, we could deal with him. Here we go. And action.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, were set to play a role. This role was made for us and us alone. He wanted me to have it. He saved me. For a time, God, he tried. Like sweeping the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired him for his efforts. But despite it all, there I always was.
Good, just go right away immediately. Go further into the emotion. You're doing great. Let it pour out of your heart. Let it pour out of your eyes. Just let it come out of you.
My personal character is bound by a certain amount of irreversible rascality. You see, all of us, since the day we were born, were set to play a role. This role was made for us and us alone. He wanted me to have it. He saved me. For a time, God, he tried. Like sweeping the darkness out of a room with a broom. I admired him for his efforts. Despite it all, there I always was.
Good, Ava. I thought you did great on that. That's probably the best reel you've done so far. Very cool. Very cool. Lots of stuff in there. Lots of suggestion. Somebody else filling in the background a little bit. We're missing maybe a person or so, someone who hasn't gone or someone who has gone. Save me for a time, no matter how impossible it is, go and fight for me, even if it's impossible. That's the hidden message. It's kind of nice, but I am very pleased for the people who chose the advanced level one, because that one becomes involuntary. The second one that most of you guys opted out of is Darren Brown level shit, where it's just like, just listening to it standing there with the boom mic, I kind of go, what? But this one's very effective too. Okay, here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole you call home in hell's half acre. If I shine a light down there, blinded, you will recoil. But you will eventually see me, holding up the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision without someone or something to be decided upon. To accept me is to see that other relationships no longer exist, because the beliefs they are based on no longer exist. Your love was completely conditional on those beliefs. Then, you might see I'm here, now, if your eyes can adjust.
Good. Okay, let's do it one more time. Now, that's pretty good. Believe it or not, some of you guys are going to want to do this, add some score. That first take's going to play a little better with score because you kind of had a little of the movie guy thing going. But if you add, not necessarily even score, you could also add just sort of like bass tones, just like, you know, when you watch something and you hear things that are just kind of like rumbling away in the background, just like, just something kind of heavy. Low kilohertz kind of sounds. You could sound design that and maybe even tweak my color correction a little bit, and it could have a style, but it's a little acty. I want that voice. You're kind of getting caught in that Clint Eastwood pocket of the throat. And part of the reason why Clint Eastwood's able to do that is because he's so congruent with it. That feels so right for even just looking at his face. It feels like I'm okay with that face making this sound. You know what I mean? And it's just Clint Eastwood's face because he looks like a saddlebag with eyes. He's just like, you know, and also it's that he's so iconic. We've seen him in so many cowboy roles that we just accept Clint Eastwood is that way because Clint Eastwood's just one of those actors that's kind of just always been there unless you're like over a certain age. Clint Eastwood has always fucking been there. But we're going to want a little bit more of that true, authentic voice. I want you to just don't get it caught here in the Eastwood zone. Let it out. But if it's going down and it's breaking rapport, it's still out of your throat and it's still your full voice. And really, what was your emotion you were going for?
I was actually going for love.
Let's try this one. Let's keep it with love, but just make it more of a rapport-breaking kind of love. Maybe he's resigned to it not working out. The love's there, but he's just breaking rapport because he doesn't give a shit.
Could I actually have Ash swap in for the...
Do it. Yeah, jump in there. It's interesting. Both of you two guys chose the more advanced speech, the more involuntary speech. Another thing to do, especially with this one, is if you just kind of keep that pace up, don't be afraid to create a vacuum or two where you really just pattern interrupt people. Yours was really effective when you did that. Now, you did it right where I did it, but at the very least, if people had started to get into a zony part of their brain, you just woke them up and they'll just go, what am I compelled to do? I think I'm supposed to schedule that guy a time or whatever it is. And they don't even really, you would just be amazed at how suggestible people are, guys. And then you'll go, but is that ethical too? Hell yes, it is ethical. If you don't think it's ethical to persuade people, then I don't know what your country is even where you could function. I'd like to think Tibet, maybe up in a monastery, maybe persuasion and these type of low-level horse's ass tactics are no longer necessary. But somehow I'll bet even when you're up in that temple, you're going to have to do a little persuading here or there. Somehow. You're going to need that bowl of rice when it's running short, or you're just going to have to talk your way in there. You're going to have to get a Sherpa to bring your shit. You're never going to get around this. You're never going to get around persuasion, guys. Here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell.
One more time, just let it out. Occupy.
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 Say occupy.
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 That's still muted. You're attenuating it. Occupy.
Occupy.
Occupy, citizen.
Occupy, citizen.
There you go. That's kind of a weird, cool line. Still being cop. Occupy. Let it out. Occupy.
Occupy.
That's, you're still going. Occupy. Go. Daddy's home. He's here to occupy. Say, Daddy's home.
Daddy's home.
What's he here to do?
He's here to occupy.
Occupy. Or is he here to occupy?
Occupy.
You're say, Daddy's home, bitch.
Daddy's home, bitch.
He's here to occupy.
He's here to occupy.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
You're still muting yourself.
I don't
Say
even
the most
understand.
rancid thing you can. I want to occupy.
I want to occupy.
Ooh.
Ah!
All right. Let it out. You've just got this like little. It's stuck there somewhere. Sometimes it helps me to say the most rancid fucking thing I can. I had a buddy who was a comedian who had to start his show with a joke that he always had to dig out of this hole. But if he didn't do it, he didn't feel like he could just be himself up there. So his opener was, I live with my sister, and she hates it when I pee in the shower, even though I stopped peeing on her feet. This horrible thing of now he showers with his sister, and everyone would always go, "That's not your opener. They got to know you before you can say that." And he's like, "It's not even worth it to me unless they want to hear that." He was just like, if they're not ready for that to be my opener, fuck them. But you know what? He was always entertaining. Even when he bombed, people were sitting there going, "My God, I'm looking at this son of a bitch. I can't believe it." And that's all you really need as an actor. You don't need those comedian laughs. You don't quite have to get over that way. Here we go. Let it out of your throat.
Occupy.
Oh.
Oh.
No, there's a catch there. Oh. Here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell.
Now do this. Ash, stand 15 feet away really quick. Stand, same thing. I want him to hear every word of this, and I want you to connect to him just as much. And it's not about projecting, you're just attenuating it. Be careful with that. You know, even great actors who attenuate, you know, in Gladiator when Russell Crowe goes, "What we do in life echoes through eternity." It's pretty cool. Because he's really good with his voice, but it's still, I think it's much cooler to go, "What we do in life echoes through eternity." That's actually cooler to me when you're giving a speech to 500 fucking horseback soldiers with no fucking microphone. Because really it would be the guy next to him going, "What was that, General?" "What we do in life echoes through eternity." "Men," he said, "what we do in life echoes through eternity." Go on, sir. You know, that would be the real scene. Or am I giving a speech to these troops, right? So let's see you hit him. And then not criticizing Russell Crowe, because it was a cool way to say the line. Unfortunately, if you really think about it, who's he saying it to and why? Because it's a cool line. Doesn't work as well as, "Let me rally the troops." Freedom! That's better. Here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole you call home in hell's half-acre. If I shine a light down there, blinded, you will recoil. But you will eventually see me, holding the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision without someone or something being decided upon. To accept me is to see that other relationships no longer exist because the beliefs they were based on no longer exist. Your love was completely conditional on those beliefs. Then you might see me now, if your eyes can adjust.
Good. Better. You'll watch that last take and watch yourself progressively get less stifled until it's almost about to the point where you'll go, "I wish I would have been that way the whole time." But that's how you learn to not stifle yourself, because who gives a fuck? I'm almost too unstifled in life because now I realize, dude, my best friend blew his head off when he was 33. I'm on 7 years of borrowed time from him. Most of the people I know are dead or gone. And maybe if I'm lucky and I take good care of myself, I got 45 years left to fuck around with this. But those last 10 ain't gonna be worth shit. So what am I stifling it for? What, you know what I mean? What am I waiting for? Fuck it, you know? I should just be perfectly ready. I mean, these are crazy exercises I wouldn't even want to do in this class, but this is some of the stuff I'm glad I did when I was younger. Just fuck it, just tear your shirt off and just run down the street screaming. Why? I don't know. Let's do it. These are those type of stupid ass things you do in college that actually have a point, but then you're still stifled. It's still trying hard. You're still trying to unstifle because you're so fucking stifled still. You're not free because you did that. But I'm just saying there's like these grown-up equivalencies where it's just like next time you're at a party and will be the person, probably you were the person already where everyone said, quiet down a little. Did you get a lot of don't be loud? People were always like, stop being loud. Well, what that did, that chased your voice all the way into where it's like, when I practice my acting, I just want to not be loud. I don't want anyone to know. I want your neighbors to be, every time you practice your acting now, I want your neighbors to be going, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm tired of hearing you say the same shit over and over again. Then just be like, I pay rent too, motherfucker. I got 28,500 days to get my shit done, just like you. We're monkeys on a rock. You're lucky we're not killing each other. That's the way I treat my neighbors. Serious as shit. That's exactly the type of shit I would say. And then they would go, that fucking guy is a psychopath. He just said, we're lucky we're not killing each other. He does whatever he wants, man. You know, and it's like, let's just let that out next time. But that's a huge thing, because you'll see it. You'll see the cat. In fact, fuck it. Let's do one last take. Let it out this time. Let it out this time. Go for it. Even if you're over the top, even if you watch this one and go, I'd actually rather use parts of the other ones. Let this one just be the over the top Braveheart speech. By the way, there's a crowd of people stood behind you. We don't really know how big this is meant to be. What if there's supposed to be 5? You could add the sound of a teeming crowd of 400 people. You know what I mean? And that could be what this is. You're addressing them. We don't know. Here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole you call home on hell's half acre. If I shine a light down there, blinded, you will recoil. But you will eventually see me holding the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision without someone or something to be decided upon. To accept me is to see that other relationships no longer exist because the beliefs they were based on no longer exist. Your love was conditional on those beliefs. Then, you might see I'm here. Now, if your eyes can adjust.
Good. Way less stifled. And you never know. You had the sound of the crowd. That might be your moneymaker. That might be the good one. I wouldn't know till I watched it. I remember being, years and years ago, being on the set of Independence Day, watching Bill Pullman do that speech where he's like, we're gonna fight. We're gonna go on. And I was watching him do it, and I was going like, this isn't gonna play at all. I literally left that scene going, what a disaster. This won't make the movie. And then when you watch the movie and he's like, it's our Independence Day in a wide shot, because I know they ADR'd that. Because all he did live, he was so nervous because there was like 500 people there watching him. He just went, I'm the guy from Spaceballs. I'm a little caught in my throat right now, and I don't do theater. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's here. He's a nice fellow. Okay, do we want one more take? Shit, I'm nervous as hell. That's all he really did. Was sort of like your first 2 takes. I think they must have ADR'd it. If you notice, his rousing lines are on a wide shot. But at the same time, what you did in that last one, I can honestly remember it very vividly. Bill Pullman never got anywhere near you did on that last take in that famous Independence Day speech. But it's also got the big rousing music and the crowd and the cutaways and the cinema to it. So that's something to be thought about, guys. Adding sound effects, adding a crowd, adding some score, taking this image and wireframing it and zooming and pushing in. You can start at 100% of the image and you can end at 200% of the image. You could slowly have it zoom from the far shot into a close-up. If you're so inclined, that's up to you though. And you might say, Ryan, I'm not a master editor. I don't know how to do that. Fucking dumb fucks on YouTube know how to do it. And a 14-year-old dumb fuck knows how to do it. And you can Google, how the fuck do I zoom in a little bit on whatever editing software you have? And a 12-year-old's gonna go, hey guys, I'm here to tell you about, be sure to donate to me on Patreon. Making $300,000 a year doing this from my parents' bedroom. Hold on, Dad, I can't loan you any more money. I'm doing another video. Okay. You know, there's a kid out there who will help you do it. It's a beautiful age that we live in now. Good job. Excellent. So, by the way, we're on the home stretch. We got Bianca, Carlos. Let's see, we got Bianca, everybody. And action.
My personal character is bound to a certain extent by irreversible rascality. All of us, you see, from the day we were born, have a set role to play. And that role is ours and ours alone. She wanted me to have it. She saved me for a while. God, she tried. Like trying to sweep a room with darkness with a broom. I admired her efforts. But despite it all, there I was.
Okay, good. Keep going. Now remember when you say it, remember the line is sweeping the darkness out of a room with a broom.
Yeah.
That causes a real conundrum in the listener's mind because they start thinking of how you would sweep darkness out of a room, then it seems impossible. And that's the point of that line, is to give a sense of it's impossible, to not just go with like anything besides what I've just said is impossible as doing something impossible. So you just want to make sure that really lands. Now, you did a great job on that. Try to connect to the emotion even more, Carlos, if you can. But also remember, you were doing a little bit of I just saw it out of the corner of my eye because I'm stood right next to it, this microphone, so I really don't want to like bring my eye line to you. But it seemed like I was catching some minimum movement issues. If my face was as interesting as yours, I would just put it on the side of a bus and I wouldn't even fucking do anything. I would just, every day I would take a new Instagram picture that's just like me not moving a muscle, just going, reap it, motherfucker. Your face is so great. Don't do anything other than just what organically pops up. Don't shake your head no. I want you just to think of yourself as a statue. You're on Mount Rushmore saying these lines. But not a statue that can't feel, a statue that does feel deeply. So go deeper into the emotion and deeper into the minimum movement at the same time. Most of you guys are doing pretty well with the minimum movement. I would question over time, though, are you doing, and by the way, anybody who's eating, that's got to stop when we roll. So, yes, that crinkle puss is not good. Crinkle is not good. Okay, so just really minimum movement. And some of you guys who feel a little bit stifled, some of that stifling comes from the minimum movement. If I was just letting Mo run around like getting primal and getting in his body to do it, then you'd probably get there much faster. But it's like, can you get there and be minimum movement? Yes, you can. And Russell Crowe fucking did it on a fucking back of a horse, you know? And that's a whole other story. How do you have minimum movement on the back of a horse? Well, you fucking do. Everybody who's ever been in a Western or one of these gladiator movies, they're doing this on the back of a horse. So don't feel like it's impossible. This is all very doable. It's done by movie stars. It's just not done by people that don't fucking book work. That's it. Here we go. And action.
My personal character is, to some extent, irrevocably tied to rascality. All of us, you see, from the very day we're born, are set for a role that we have to play. And that role is ours, and ours alone. She wanted me to have it. She saved me. For a time. God, she tried. Like sweeping the darkness of a room with a broom. That's how she tried. And I admired her for it. But despite it all, there I was.
Good, better. And Carlos, you had more focus when you were moving less. I could tell you were moving less. It actually focused it better. Good for you. You also do better on your second take. Some of you guys should note that you're either going to be a first take kind of actor and it might be all downhill from there, or you're going to maybe improve with subsequent takes. That's a good thing to know about yourself because that will come up, like who's going to shoot their close-up first. If you know I'm better on my first take, I suggest that we shoot my close-up first. If you know you like to do 20 takes before you're in the zone like DiCaprio does, I'll bet DiCaprio always says do my close-up last. You think it's because he doesn't want to get the fuck home, back to the boat with the supermodels on it? No, he wants to get back to the boat quick, too. He'd love to have his stand-in do it, but he needs that time. I'll bet he requests his close-up last because he's dedicated to this. Good job, Carlos. Good. Very good. Okay, who is next? I know, okay, Bianca's ready.
Can I?
And then
I'm
Mo.
just gonna make a little bit of a.
All right,
Is that okay?
very good. Do it.
Okay,
Do
so,
it.
John is my eyeline. Community.
Here we go. Check 1, check 2. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell. A rat hole you call home in hell's half acre. If I shine a light down, fuck. God damn it.
Okay, no, take it again. Why do you think you hit that block?
I don't know. I was trying to like get in the world that I'm in, and it like I lost it, and I was like, I can do it. I can do it. And
This is really important. Everyone, quickly do this. You know what? Here, let me guess what the conversation in your head was.
I wanted to rewrite it, but I was like, no, I want to get the words.
Well, here's the thing. That's what I would call a consideration. It almost doesn't matter what the consideration is, but you got to a consideration point where you went from the observed into the observer, and you said, I've got a consideration on this moment, so let me observe how I handle this consideration that I had. Now I'm observing this person who's observing, who's this Hall of Mirrors shattered thing. What am I doing? I should be connecting. I felt like let me evaluate the first half of the take now. I thought I was doing pretty good, but I was a little disconnected, but then, oh God, it's been 10 seconds. I haven't said a word. This whole kind of thing happens. Take it one more time from the top and just be very, very just zen about it. Just present energy. Bianca, present time energy. By the way, I could anticipate that a mile away. Yeah. I saw that this take was going to be a weird disaster. The second I saw you starting to rearrange people, I thought, that's a tough one. She's going to need at least one terrible take to get past the fact that she rearranged everybody. Not because I'm invalidating rearranging everybody, just because I know the kind of fucking mustard gas energy it is to go like, you stand here, you stand there, you stand there. I don't know. I admire actor directors so much who do that so effortlessly. I wonder sometimes what their acting technique must be that it's not hindered at all by that activity. But now just sort of shake it off. Just go into the monologue. And yes, from an acting standpoint, there might well be parts that make these an easier job for an actor. But in almost any case, the second you get one word wrong, you've just diminished the mesmerizing quality of them by that much. And hopefully, as I've kind of taken you through this, you guys in the future, as you write your own pieces, I kind of gave you guys a bucket of fish here. And for me to do marketing copy, I don't even write marketing copy for my own website for this class. I just kind of, whatever. Suzanne wrote most of the marketing stuff, and I look at most of it, and honest to God, marketing writing is fucking expensive. Do you know how much it costs to get someone like me to write your website? $75,000? $50,000? Plus a commission on your sales, if you have a sales funnel? How much it costs to get Guthy Ranker to write your infomercial? $1.5 million? And they've got a team of guys? That is how fucking valuable people that know how to do persuasive writing is. And by the way, that's how exhausting it is. And how many focus groups you need to have. And the budget you need to have to really A/B test concept after concept after concept. Now these I was just able to repurpose little speeches I had laying around and really give them that punch. So yes, there's things that you might alter in this language to make it a more actor-friendly piece or even more dramatic, but we're also doing this persuasion thing at the same time, which is very tough. And when you're writing a TV commercial, they're also doing legal things at the same time too. Do you know how hard it is to write a pharmaceutical commercial where they're like, you know, Zimbola is going to make you feel so much better. Careful, if you take Zimbolax, you may get fucking, you know, spontaneous human combustion. And then they're like, then afterwards, how do you bring that back to a good, positive place? I mean, they're doing a lot, trust me. And you guys, whether you know it or not, whether you admit it or not, you're all running a marketing company. You all run a marketing company. You run two businesses. You run You as an Actor, LLC, and that loan out company sells your product as an actor, LLC. And you're also the CEO of You as an Actor, Marketing Incorporated. And trust me on this, one of those CEOs is more expendable than the other. And unfortunately, it's not the one who does the marketing. He's not expendable. That's the essential one. Because believe it or not, you can be Paris Hilton. She's been the lead in 20 big movies. She never learned how to act even once. And I edited a commercial she's in, and I've met her, and I've worked closely with someone who directed her and someone who edited one of her movies too. I'm aware of this firsthand. She has no 0.0 interest in being a good actress. Yet she was a lead in 20 Hollywood movies. Because the CEO of Paris Hilton Marketing Incorporated is a badass motherfucker. The CEO of Paris Hilton, the actress, is a pathetic joke to me. But it doesn't matter because she is the one worth $500 million and killing it in the game of capitalism, I guess. Or it does matter because maybe there's not a lot of meaning in that. Maybe she's struggled. Maybe there's more meaning, and I don't run the marketing company at all, but I find meaning in my art. Who's happier? I don't know who's happier, who's not. But at the very least, have some little guy, some little birdhouse in your soul where there's somebody fucking working the fucking marketing desk and picking up the phone once in a while. And if you can, make that a very thriving part of your business until you can outsource that, until you have 150 grand a year for a strong publicity team, to hire web designers, to just really have that handled for you. Maybe even $250,000 a year is what it will take. So why do you learn those skills? Because you don't have $250,000 a year, so you have to do it yourself. That's the way running a business works, guys. So here we go. And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell. A rat hole you call home in hell's half-acre. If I shine a light down, blinded, you will recoil. But you will eventually see me holding the light, reaching through the darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision made without someone or something being decided upon. Accepting me is to see that there is no other relationship that exists. Because that belief no longer exists. Your love is based upon that belief. Then you will see me. Now, open your eyes.
Okay, good. Now take it one more time. You're okay. The only thing stopping you is you're evaluating it. You threw a pass that didn't connect to the receiver, and then you threw a pass that went way out of bounds. Then you threw an interception because you were thinking about each one of those as it unraveled itself at the end, like pulling on a thread on a sweater. One little thing tugged on you. Then you started going into the director mind, and then you started becoming the director, and then you just don't have a sweater anymore. Now you have a ball of yarn. By the end of it, the beginning was absolutely amazing. So I would say just power through. Do your best to don't evaluate, don't observe. Just be in it. And if you're just in it, even if you don't get the lines perfect, you're going to kill it. And I actually think you'll really like the first 2/3 of that one. I think you're really going to like. On top of that, and this might actually help you with that, dive deeper into the emotion. Whatever emotion you're going for, don't get louder, don't get more theatrical, because I like this subdued thing, and I think you need that on your reel, but get more emotional. And everybody, it sounds so crinkly. It sounds like the Southwest flight when the stewardess just came by with the little snack box. And everybody's got their little snacks. Yeah. So quiet down with the crinkles. And by the way, crinkling slowly and intently and trying not to be loud with the crinkle is a crinkle amplifier. Okay, here we go.
That's what it is.
Very quiet, everybody.
That's good.
And action.
You occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole you call home, in hell's half-acre. If I shine a light down, blinded you will recoil. But then you will eventually see me shining the light. Reaching through the darkness, there is every bit that goes with every decision is made with someone or something being decided upon. If you accept me, that means any other relationship no longer exists. Because that belief no longer exists. Because your love is solely based upon that belief. Then you might see that I'm here now. If your eyes can adjust.
Good. Switch it out. And yes, you can create that cut if you wanted to merge those two together. Just by punching in for a closer close-up, you could create a cut between the two. Because you stumbled on both of them, but you can't create a cut.
Mad.
No, don't get mad, because that's actually what did it. I watched it happen, but you know what?
So mad.
Everybody clock this really quick. Hold on. Because I know we're reaching the end of our attention span, which miraculously is about an hour and a half in this group, which means I could show you a studio comedy without you getting bored. You would probably be a couple hours away from the end of Dr. Zhivago, though, and I'll bet most of you haven't seen it, and that's your loss. Point being that what Bianca just dealt with there was what I would almost call, you went into a mini shame spiral. I don't call it mini, but the second one was very mini, and actually, you'll be surprised. Watch on the other side of coming out of a shame spiral, your take got very interesting. And it was about the moment where you said, there was a moment where you just kind of collected yourself. You got tangled up midway through, and then you collected yourself. And that just the lines coming out right after that collection moment were really interesting. You know, and so what you can do is just cut into the other take, just blow that one up by 150% or whatever, so that it, you know, it looks like I went in close, now I'm back to this, now I'm back in close. You figure it out. Don't feel like, the cut, I don't want the cut. I mean, we all want this in a oneer that slowly pushes in. That's the ideal. But you also might have a section. You might even say to yourself, I don't need this whole thing. I'll just use the back half from that line where it picked up, or I'll use the front half of this one and the back half of that one from the line where it picked up. And you know what else you can do? Just make a jump cut, guys. Do you know why? Because if you do it subtly enough, they're not going to know if their internet just hicked up or if that was a jump cut. By the way, How many of you guys who do video submissions are not editing your video submissions? Get with it. Huge advantage. You want an unfair advantage? Hi, I'm Ryan and I'm auditioning for your movie. There's about to be 10 jump cuts that combine my best 10 takes, but I'm using something called Morph and I'm doing them very cleverly. In fact, I've even disguised one of them as a download glitch with a little fucking arrow thing that comes up when it happens. Or, you know, those little circular things. I'm going to have one little circular load thing that I took off of YouTube that I have as a graphic overlay and will look like YouTube's loading for a second and then boom. Think that's nefarious? Hell yeah, it is. I will use editing to my full advantage.
What does that do?
And action.
Every day, you occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole you call home on hell's half acre. If I was to shine a light down, blinded, you would recoil, but eventually, you would see me holding the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision without someone or something to be decided upon. To accept me is to see that other relationships no longer exist because the beliefs that they were based on no longer exist. Your love was completely conditional on those beliefs. Then, you might see me here now if your eyes can adjust.
Good, and I like that. You got the contained kind of cult leadery version. I love the interpretation. Now let's go. Let's just try one just for fun. Do one a little faster, a little more fire and brimstone. There will be blood preacher in it, just for fun. Because I think you definitely nailed it that way. Good job. Okay, here we go. This one's a little more of that thundery fieriness. It's got a whole congregation out there. And action.
Every day, you occupy a little slice of hell, a rat hole that you call home on hell's half acre. If I was there shining a light, you would be blinded, yet you would recoil. But eventually, you would see me there, holding the light, reaching into your darkness. Every this goes with every that. There is no decision without someone or something to be decided upon. To accept me? To accept me? You must see that other relationships no longer exist. Because the beliefs that those were based on no longer exist. Your love was completely conditional on those beliefs. Then, you might see me here now. If your eyes can adjust, then you're free.
Good. Good job, Matt. Good. I like that. I think that was solid. And action.
Father, I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. You look nice, by the way. I think I need a confession, but I don't have the time, and I know what you're thinking, what you're saying. You're giving me that look now, and but it comes down to I just keep sinning, and it's not good. It's not good at all, and I just want to be a better friend, better boyfriend. You know, I've told you about her, and yeah.
How do you plan to do that?
10 Hail Marys. No, I just basically just be more attentive, be communicative. You know. That's
Good. Good. Let's stop it there. And don't feel bad.
I saw everything that you were doing. I know what like the things that you've been doing to contribute. And between me and you, I just want to say I really admire the meaning that you have. And I'm just trying to have that be something like that I can use on my own. So, just keep it up.
Keep going. We'll let you run out the clock on that last take since this was one where you're just riffing it. Go for another like 30 seconds.
And just seeing how you change those people and everything that you do, and what's on your back is just, it's eye-opening for me. So I just want you to know that, I'm sure you know this, but you're a huge inspiration of mine. Thank you.
Good. Believe it or not, when you get into a sizzle reel situation,